statistical mathematical fact
never has been down.
has broken every single record. There is no asset that has come close.
It's the only thing in the industry that was not touched, that was not hacked, and it never fails doing what it promised in 2009. It's never
What's
failed.
the best performing asset the world has ever seen? And you'll find out that it's Bitcoin.
Hello, Bitcoiners. Hello, Bitcoiners. Hello, traders. Always have traders here logging in as well. Followers, supporters, haters, Bitcoin negators, all of you. I welcome all of you. Welcome to another live space with Oliver Velez. Of course, my name is Oliver Velez, and I'm here to do my best to pound the table on the greatest wealth transfer and generational wealth opportunity human beings have ever been exposed to. I'm here to constantly be that voice, perhaps sometimes even the voice in the wilderness that is in your face at all times, trying to get you to see the fact that for the first time in the history of human mankind, true global opportunity is available to every single human being on earth. I'm trying to get as many people as I possibly can, and in as short a period as I possibly can, to see the fact that throughout all of humanity, opportunity has never been uniformly, fairly, and equally available to every individual according to his merit, his energy, his effort, his skill, his talent. For the first time in the history of mankind, opportunity is global. Opportunity is at the fingertips. Opportunity is accessible. Opportunity is available to every single human being. This opportunity requires no permission. This opportunity requires no yes or no from another man. In fact, this opportunity called Bitcoin has nothing to do with men, has nothing to do with humans, yet it is available to all humans. For the first time, we have an opportunity that cannot be seized, cannot be confiscated, cannot be denied, cannot be taken, cannot be played with, cannot be manipulated, cannot be controlled. All opportunities in the past have been co-opted by the elite, by those who are in control at that particular time. There's never been a time throughout history that an opportunity has arisen for mankind that has not been co-opted by the powers that be of that particular time. Gold was a money made by God, for lack of a better phrase. It was not created by a man. Its supply is not determined. Its ultimate supply is not determined by a man, but it was ultimately co-opted by men. The vast majority of all gold above ground today is centralized in the hands of those who control this planet to a certain extent, that control this earth to a certain extent. It's been centralized, it's been co-opted, its amazing properties have been stolen from the vast majority of human society. When's the last time you've seen someone transact with gold? When's the last time you've seen someone saving in gold? Oh, yes, you've seen a gold ring or a gold bracelet. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about gold as money. It's been taken from human mankind. Every opportunity that was at one point available to the human race was eventually centralized and co-opted by the powers that be. Bitcoin in 2009 came on the scene to create, or bring about, I should say, a brand new era in the human experience. It has created a paradigm shift. The world is now a different world. 2009 will split the past from the future. The same way that we today mark time via BC, before Christ, or AD, after the death of Christ, or whatever it is. BC, AD, pre this, post that. Well, 2009 is the brand new separator. Post BTC, pre BTC, and post BTC. The post-BTC era, which started on January 3rd, 2009, is the only thing that will matter moving forward. We will judge everything based on what happened from January 3rd, 2009, and we'll consider everything that's happened before that bullshit. Things that we can't verify, things that we can't possibly know. But Bitcoin on January 3rd, 2009 created a paradigm shift for human beings, the world, and its outlook forevermore, because the only thing that will be trusted going forward, the only thing that can be believed, the only thing that can be banked on will be Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is immutable, it is unchangeable, it is outside the hands of any human being, yet it is accessible to every single human being and in the fairest way possible. That is my message. My message is that Bitcoin is freedom, and that the faster you understand that we today finally have an exit, we finally have an exit out of clown world, we finally have an exit out of fiat financial slavery, we finally have freedom. Now, I know in the beginning of a freedom movement, it is quite difficult to convince those who have become accustomed to being imprisoned or being trapped on a plantation as a slave. They get comfortable with what they have. When freedom movements come, there is a fear of what that freedom will bring. There is a resistance by those who have learned how to beautify their prison cells or plant little vegetables on their tiny patch of land on the plantation. Despite the fact that they are slaves on that plantation, they've gotten comfortable with their little cucumbers over here and their little strawberries over there and their rickety shack in the back. It's very difficult to get people to understand the value proposition of being free in the beginning. But over time, every single hour of the day, every single day of the week, every single week of the year, and every single year of the decade, more and more people will understand, deeply so, the message that I'm delivering here for you today. Bitcoin is the fastest adopted freedom movement ever in the history of the world. It's the most adopted technology. And I don't really like to refer to Bitcoin as a technology, even though it can apply to that, but it is shortchanging what it truly is. Every technology does not deliver freedom. Bitcoin delivers freedom, yet also it is a technology. But Bitcoin, spoken from the vantage point of it being a technology, it's the fastest adopted technology in the history of the world. It's the best performing asset. You want to call it an asset? It's the best performing asset in the history of the world. You want to call it a technology? It's the fastest adopted technology in the history of the world. My message all the way to Bitcoin 100, because after Bitcoin 100, I am out. What I'm doing with you here today is not sustainable, and I don't want to do it. But I do want to leave behind a barrage of electronic footprints. I want to leave behind a barrage of talks that you and everyone else in the future will someday in the future be able to come back and reference what was said here. My message is not the message of Oliver Velez. My message is the message of BTC. Let's not get it twisted. In 2020, something happened to me. An epiphany, if you will. And I'm hoping the same epiphany happens for you or to you. All right, guys. I want to talk to you about a topic here today. I think it's a very interesting topic. I think some of you will find what I talk about today quite interesting. So grab the beverages of your choice. Maybe even grab something to take notes with. A lot of times I do drop some things that are worthy of remembering. Please do that. Understand that this is going to be recorded, so if you can't stay for the entirety of my talk, you will be able to come back and listen to the rest of it. Also, I want to keep you aware of the fact that each and every one of my live talks here on Twitter, on X, does wind up on my Bitcoin podcast entitled Bitcoin Unleashed. I strongly encourage that you try to seek out that podcast on the podcasting platform of your choice, whether that be YouTube or whether that be Apple, or, whether that be Fountain app or Spotify. Go find Bitcoin Unleashed so that you can take in all of the talks that we've had on this freedom technology. All right. I also want to keep you aware of the fact that I do not pass the mic during my talks. So your request for the mic, unfortunately, will go for naught. I believe that the manner in which I deliver the limited amount of information and knowledge that I have is best shared in a rant form or a monologue form. You pick the word of your choice. And I do try to take questions, sometimes throughout, sometimes at the end, when my rants or my monologues don't go too long. All right. So let's go. Let's do this. Now, the title of what did I title this thing here? I forgot already. Oh, yes, here it is. The title of my talk today is Why I Refuse to Trade Altcoins, or sh-tcoins, as I'm so fond of calling them. Why I refuse to trade them. Now, before I go into the specific reasons, I do think, for the benefit of those who are unfamiliar with who I am, I think it's apropos if I just do a very sort of like a brief background here. I am a trader, plain and simple. I have done nothing with my life from the age of 16 years old. I am 58 years old now. I've done absolutely nothing else with my life except trade financial markets. My father introduced me to financial markets by actually being a gold bug and having the biggest score of his life when gold went from $35 an ounce in the early 1970s, when President Nixon supposedly temporarily suspended the convertibility of gold into the dollar, releasing gold from its artificial cap at $35 an ounce. My father had been for over a decade illegally accumulating gold at the behest of one of his good friends and clients, for that matter, who encouraged him to do so a decade earlier. When that happened, gold went in a relatively short period of time from $35 an ounce to over $800 an ounce. And this movement radically changed the trajectory of my entire family. Guys, I will tell you that that move in gold, what it did for us, my house changed, my neighborhood changed, my state in the United States changed, my schools changed, my friends changed. I went from public school to some of the best schools in the United States. Our whole lives changed literally overnight. This, when I got older, because I was too young to truly understand, when I got a little bit older, I realized what happened. I realized why our lives had changed so dramatically. It was because of one move made by my dad, one play, one lifelong play. And it fascinated me to no end as I gained enough age, maturity, and knowledge to understand how impactful something like one act can be for a family. And I went down the rabbit hole at 15, late 15, going into 16 years old, and that was it. After that happened, nothing else in my life mattered, guys. I had zero interest in zero anything. I had zero interest in school, although I got through it. I had zero interest. I dropped the piano. My whole life was dedicated to becoming a professional pianist. I dropped the piano at much to the chagrin of my parents. I dropped playing baseball, much to the chagrin of my dad. My dad was a minor league baseball player in his earlier life. And I focused entirely on financial markets. And from the age of 16, I have had not another, I never had another focus in my entire life. I never did anything with my life other than trade financial markets. I don't know anything else. I started my professional career on Wall Street in December of 1986. I had great success during that period. Left Wall Street to start my own firm that catered to Wall Street in 1994. Grew one of the largest and most respected advisory firms on Wall Street. I had over 4 million clients and or customers, whatever you want to call them, from all over the world. I played consultant to some of the top technology in that era called direct access trading platforms. All companies that were in this space of building tools for traders, they had to come to me. Why? Because I had the largest number of traders. How do you test your technology? You need traders. Everyone came to me. I served as an advisor to some of the largest technological breakthroughs during the 1990s, during what's called the direct access trading platform era, which kicked off the online trading era. I was involved with 3 specific trading deals on the technologies that I worked on with my traders. The first of those technologies sold to Charles Schwab for $498 million. That was in 1998. The second sold for 700. I'm trying to think, was this the second? Yes, the second sold for $750 million to Morgan Stanley. And the third sold for, which is on the tail end of the movement, sold for $125 million. I was one of the first traders to trade on a system called Archipelago. Archipelago was an electronic communications network that came to Oliver Velez to test out the system because I had over 10,000 traders. I took 6,000 traders, put them on Archipelago as it crashed and crashed and crashed until they perfected that system. Today, Archipelago is the New York Stock Exchange, ARCA, New York Stock Exchange. My pedigree in the trading space is extraordinarily high. I hope that doesn't come across as bragging. It's not, it's just factual. I'm building the foundation for my talk here. I was bombarded by 2 of the world's top publishing houses to write a book for 8 years straight. I finally relented and wrote 5 books. I have 5 international best-selling books that are written in 5 different languages that continue to be the best sellers in the industry to this very day. All of the books in the trading space combined do not even approach the numbers of my 5 books. Today, I continue to be one of the most sought-after speakers on the topic of trading markets for a living. I travel the globe every single year of my life, speaking to institutions, firms, addressing their traders, their professionals, and things of that nature all over the world, every single year. Now, today I'm approaching 15,000 traders in over 95 different countries that literally will do anything I say. So why do I tell you all of this? I tell you all of this to really accentuate one thing here, is that I'm a trader. That's all I do. That's all I know. I'm not an expert on anything else but trading financial markets. And that right there would beg the question, Oliver, if you trade markets and it's all you've done, and it's how you've built your life and built your career and built your reputation in the space, built your status and your pedigree in this industry, why won't you trade altcoins? Why is that an item off your list? And that is what I'm here to talk about. But it wouldn't be as meaningful if I did not give you the backdrop of me being a celebrated trader. All right. So my motto throughout my entire career, guys, has always been, I will trade anything that moves on planet Earth. So if you don't want to be traded yourself, you better stand very still when you're in my presence. I've been saying that line for decades at all of my talks, and people just burst out, rupture in laughter. And it was true. If it moved, I traded it, guys. I've traded equities, I've traded stocks, bonds, futures, Forex, you name it. But in truth, what I've always tried to communicate to all of my traders, anyone who'd come under my wing, anyone I was responsible for training, I would always try to change their approach to trading. And I'd start every trader off the same, creating this mind shift that we're really not trading financial instruments. We're trading people. That's all we're doing. You see, a financial instrument, if you set a financial instrument on your desk, it doesn't have a life of its own. It doesn't move up or down or sideways by itself. It needs human beings to pass it back and forth between each other. When we look at the financial asset itself, it appears as though it has a life because it's moving, but it doesn't have a life. What's moving it might be invisible to most people, but the movement itself is nothing more than human beings passing it back and forth between each other. So the movement is not from the item itself. It's from the human beings that are passing it back and forth between each other, amongst each other, I should say. And so we're not trading financial instruments, I would tell them. We're trading people. Now, once you understand that we're trading people, you have to understand what moves people. And it's 3 dominant psychological states or emotional states that drive human behavior: fear, greed, and uncertainty. Or you want to add a 4th one, there's ambivalence, which Bitcoin experiences a lot of. Fear, greed, uncertainty, and ambivalence. And in order to be a good market player, you must be able to look at any financial instrument and understand which of the 4 states is that instrument currently in. Is it in the fear state? Is it being driven? Are the dominant players being driven by fear at the current moment? Are the predominant players being driven by greed, uncertainty, ambivalence? And if you can do that, you're head and shoulders above the vast majority of market players, just right there, without a tactic, without a strategy, without anything else. Understanding it from the people point of view is the key. And this is what I would teach my traders. Now, let's circle back to that. I tell you that for a reason that I will circle back to in just a few moments. I started my Bitcoin journey In March of 2020, a lot of you who are listening to me, you know the story. I've posted the actual video that I announced to the world on March 12th. I am making my first major investment in Bitcoin. My first entry was $5,800 per Bitcoin, and I was going to buy in increasing amounts every $500 down. I started at 5,800, then 5,300, 4,800, 4,300, 3,800, and my 3,300s never got hit. This is called in my industry a buy ladder, or a pyramid, if you will, and each buy is double or triple the previous buy. So you buy more at every lower level than you bought the previous level. That is what I did. That is how I scaled into the absolute low of Bitcoin in March of 2020. And I brought 9,000 traders of mine with me in that specific trade. In fact, there were so many of us, maybe we had some hand in creating the Bitcoin bottom at that time. All right. At the same time, we were buying into Bitcoin. We were also buying into Ethereum. We were scaling into Bitcoin in March of 2020, and we were also simultaneously scaling into Ethereum. The lowest price I got in Ethereum was $95. This was before I had my true Bitcoin epiphany. Again, I'll tell you once again, my motto throughout my whole career is if it moves, I'll trade it. And Ethereum moved. So I started in what's called the crypto space with Bitcoin and Ethereum on the same days, on the same day, in the same month, in the same year. And because there was such a large price difference, I accumulated more Ethereum than I accumulated Bitcoin. Now, needless to say, I told my traders at the time that Ethereum was the faster horse, that we needed both, that Bitcoin would be the anchor of our two-pronged play here, but the best performer was going to be Ethereum. And that view was correct. Ethereum outperformed Bitcoin, not initially, but later, to go on to generate, I would say, considerably more than the Bitcoin position did. The success with Ethereum led me to expand my shitcoin trading to other things. Next on the list was XRP at 18 cents. We wrote XRP from 18 cents to $2, just under $2. That's a huge score. Then there was Dogecoin, which we got in at 3.5 cents and rode that right into Elon Musk's appearance on Saturday Night Live and got out just under $1. 3.5 cents to $1. We went into Cardano, ADA at 70 cents, 65, between 65 cents and 70 cents. We rode ADA up to just under $3 and out. We made millions upon millions of dollars trading shitcoins. Now, before I take you to the next part of the story is, and I probably have some listeners here who are one of my traders who were with me at that time, guys. A lot of them listen incognito, but I guarantee you there's a a few of them listening to our talk right here in this talk right now live. And they can attest to this. And I will drop some receipts a little bit later under this talk when it's finished. But anyway, so before I go into the next part of my story, I want you to notice our sell points. We got into XRP at 18 cents out, just under 2. We got into Doge at 3.5 cents out, just under 1. We got into ADA at 70 cents out, just under 3. There's something common. There's a common theme that's running through all of those exits. It's right before a round number. You see, in the professional trading space, we understand that round numbers are for retail, are for the ignorant, are for the outsiders, the people that don't know. Retail thinks in round numbers, $1, $2, $3. Professionals think in 95 cents, 93 cents, 91 cents. They don't think a dollar. Professionals don't think $3. They think $2.86, or they think $2.93. To them, that's $3. Professionals don't think $2. They think $1.90, $1.92, $1.84. They think a price range, a relatively small price range before the round number. And so that's just a little tip I wanted to drop you down. Bitcoin ran up to 69 and change 2 days ago and fell back. That's normal. It's just before what? A retail round number, 70,000. And so professionals know this round number concept, right? Right. So we always exit it right before a round number. If I were trading Bitcoin, I would exit just a little north of 69, because all the world, which we consider professionals, are so elite and so small in number that we consider everyone else in the world retail. They're all thinking 70,000. So if I were to exit, I'd exit just above 69, just like you said. And that's what professionals did that are trading freedom, which I don't recommend. Anyway, I just wanted to drop that. Now, and guys, this went on and on. This is just a small sampling of some of the wins and the gains that we had. And I'm here to tell you, you can verify this with anyone who was with me. We never had a loss. Not a single loss. Not one. I never lost a single penny trading altcoins or shitcoins. Never. Now, I will go on record by saying a portion of that's not all skill. That was just being in an unprecedented shitcoin bull market. You could throw a freaking dart at these things and have them run on you. The skill came in picking the right moments to enter and exit, but having them rise was you needed no skill for that. We never lost. When my epiphany came, when I fell off the horse on my way to Damascus, to use a Christian analogy, I realized that I didn't want any part of this anymore. That an epiphany occurred. This epiphany made me realize how special Bitcoin truly was. That I wanted to give my 100% focus to Bitcoin. That I did not want to disrespect what it was, what it is, what it's here to accomplish and do for humanity. I instantly began to see how trading shitcoins was a distraction, and it was fundamental disrespect to my brand new ethos now, my brand new view of Bitcoin. And I garnered a loyalty that is as fierce as they come. Today, I will not even give a shitcoin 2 seconds of my mental capacity. I don't care what the gain potential is in it. I can trade them, but I won't. In fact, I think it's wrong. I am not here to tell you that it's wrong for you. I am here to share to you why I refuse to trade them, even though I can make a ton of money with them. Money has nothing to do with it, traders. You can make money selling cocaine. Does that mean you should do it? You can make money stealing cars. Does that mean you should do it? Stealing purses from old ladies on the subway and on the bus. Does that mean you should do it? No. My father used to say at the dinner table when I was a teenager, Oliver, stop chasing every single dollar that you see. You're all over the place, son. There are certain dollars in this world, he would say, that have your name written on them. They are for you. They exist for you. Find which dollars those are, Oliver, and stick to the ones with your name on them. Don't chase every dollar. You'll never get anywhere. And I never forgot that lesson. Today, the dollars that are attached to shitcoins, they don't have Oliver Velez's name on them. I refuse to touch those. I refuse to take the dollars that are available by selling cocaine, snatching purses from old ladies, selling stolen cars, pickpocketing people at sporting events, and bullshit, scammy, VC pump and dump altcoins. None of those have the name Oliver Velez on them. And I refuse, no matter what potential there is, I refuse to touch them. I've got principles and I live by them. I've never had a problem living by a set of rules or principles. That's one of the ways that I've become a successful trader. Because I never had a problem being loyal. I never had a problem being loyal to my word after a certain point, that is. I never had a problem keeping my word. I never had a problem abiding by a rule, a guideline, a law, my trading plan. I got good at isolating my emotions away from it. I got good at ignoring the impulse of greed and turning my back on the pull of fear. And so it makes no difference to me what I have the potential of making. I am not a slave to dollars. I am constantly reminding my traders that missed money is better than lost money. And 95+% of all people who touch that bullshit called altcoins, they lose money. In fact, I think 95% is being generous. I think giving them 5% winners is being generous. And I'll get into some of those things if I have the time. This epiphany led me to abandoning trading anything else. And it led me to abandoning trading Bitcoin as well as shitcoins, and just becoming a lifetime accumulator of Bitcoin, which I today consider freedom. You can't have too much freedom. And this move caused my trading group that was specifically focused on trading cryptos, 9,000 traders. They all left me. All of the 9,000, with the exception of about 2,000. 2,000 stayed with me on the revised journey of looking at Bitcoin as a freedom technology that you only accumulate and that you never really sell. And so I lost 7,000 of my traders with that switch. And it made absolutely no difference to me. That was the cost for my epiphany. Now, let me try to explain what I began to piece together and understand about these shitcoins. I began to lift the curtain and peer into them. I began to go beyond them just being items that move up and down to looking into them. And what I realized is that by and large, the vast majority of these shitcoins were nothing more than pump and dump schemes. That there were 4 companies, 4 venture capitalist firms, or what I would call 4 vulture capital firms, vultures, that latched on to this nascent industry called the crypto space or the crypto industry. And they found a way to get around what they had been doing for decades before, being seed investors in startups. Now, I want you to understand this. In my space, there are seed rounds that you do before a company goes public. And so when you say that, for instance, Facebook, now called Meta, went public, I think it was 2013, something like that, whatever year it was. They went public there, but Facebook was in existence since the early 2000s. And from the early 2000s to 2013, or what have you, or whatever year it went public, it had a variety of seed rounds. Early investors that come in on round A to put money into the company. Round B, usually at a higher price, they come in. Round C, all the way to the ultimate pre-IPO round. And then what happens is that if the startup has enough success, it can now go for the big leagues. What's the big leagues? Becoming publicly traded. That publicly traded event is the start of all of the other early rounds exit. It's their liquidity event. Now, many times they have a lockup period even after the company goes public. So when the company goes public, they might have a 2-year lockup period, a 3-year lockup period, a 5-year lockup period, where they can't even liquidate the shares that they get for their investment, their early investment. They might have to wait 5 years to be able to liquidate that. So the average liquidation, the average pay for an investment is 10 years. It's important for you all to understand this, that this is the way that industry worked. You only needed one big winner like Facebook, now Meta, to dwarf 10 losing investments, and you'd make billions upon billions of dollars with just one winner. So the game was to invest in a handful of these startups trying to find your one, but it was going to take 10 years. Everybody understood that the average liquidation is 10 years until this new nascent industry that's not regulated yet pops up called cryptocurrencies. That's what I like to call them, cryptocurrencies. When the ICO boom began to happen, well, not the ICO boom, when these groups that specialize in early startup investments that had a 10-year potential payout, a payout after 10 years, when they saw this industry, they saw an unregulated industry that they could put startup money in and actually have a liquidity event in months, in a year. And all of them, or a lot of them, not all of them, said, OMG. You mean we don't have to wait 10 years to exit? We can get the liquidity event now? Really? In months, in a week if it pops, in a month if it pops, in 6 months if it pops? OMG. And they pointed all of that artillery, all of those guns, 4 of them in particular, and they focused everything they knew from the 1990s and early 2000s to this industry. And they put all of their departments at work. They grabbed their market makers over here. They grabbed their marketers over here. The people that were specialized in writing up the prospectuses of their companies that they would invest in before they wrote up white papers and ICO documents to bring investors in. They had their market makers to support certain prices once it went live. They would do a 70 or 80, and in some cases a 90% pre-mine, which is illegal in the regulated space. They say, we're going to keep 70% of all the coins. We're going to take 30% of all the coins, and we're going to float them to the public. We're going to pay these 10 different media outlets on a month-by basis. We're going to put them on retainer to constantly pump out a minimum of 10 articles a month of positivity on our bullshit coin. We're going to have the market maker only let a certain amount of supply of the 30% that we didn't keep hit the market. We're going to give instructions to our market maker to every single month to have a floor price to make sure that the price never drops below this price. So what they would do is their paid market makers would have a price like 20 cents. This month, the floor price is 20 cents. You don't let the price fall below 20 cents. Now, the market maker has great control over the prices of these shitcoins because it's a small float. Remember, the majority of the float is being held by the insiders who are waiting for the proper moment to dump onto the public. So the market maker walks the price up, then defends a price. Next month, walks the price up, defends the price at a higher price. Next month, walks the price up. Meanwhile, they're paying backpacking 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds backpacking in Latin America. They're here with me in Colombia right now. 21-year-old, 22-year-old backpacking journalists, so-called journalists, that get a stipend every single month to pump a positive 2 or 3 articles a month on that specific coin. They are paid to do that. They can't write something negative. They're given bullet points every single month to form the basis of the article they have to produce. Then there's a team that works after they create a chart, a price rise that is significant enough to outpace Bitcoin, because the entire goal of the market makers is to create a chart that goes up more than Bitcoin does. That's the only way you can get the public involved. It must outperform Bitcoin. This is in the paperwork. This is in the instruction manual for the market makers. You must defend prices to a certain point and create a chart that we can go market and we can get the coins listed on an exchange, first a crappy exchange, then a less crappy exchange, and then we'll go after the big ones. Coinbase, Kraken. We'll get approved with the crappy ones offshore. We'll always be able to get approved with Binance. All they want is a payment, and they will list the crappiest, shittiest thing in existence on their exchange. They don't care if their customers get hurt. So Binance is a guaranteed listing. We don't have to worry about Binance. Then we take the Binance listing and we market to the other shitty exchange. Well, Binance got us in. All right. We paid them to list it. All right, here's your payment to list us here, list us there, list us there. And then there are the journalists that are going to write, oh my God, now they're listed over here. Now they're listed over there. Look at this is growing. It's growing in adoption. Look at that chart. It's up 200%. It's up 300%. It's up 1,000%. It's up 1,500%. All of it is fake bullshit. Then comes in, it takes a while to capture the imagination of the bozos on Twitter and the people like you who think this stuff is real. It takes a while. So how do you have volume? How do you have buys and sells? That's where setting up offshore entities come in. So you set up about 12 or 15 offshore entities. You make sure there's no connection to the main foundation of the bullshit shitcoin, right? These offshore entities are trading entities. They look like now there's institutional interest in the coin, yet all they're doing is trading back the coin back and forth between each other. It's the same freaking organization trading. Okay, I buy it at 10 cents, you buy it at 11 cents. Now you sell it to our other entity at 12 cents. Now they will take it at 12 cents and sell it at 13 cents, and on and on and on it goes. And then all of a sudden people say, well, wow, this chart's rising. Oh my God, look at the volume increasing. The volume is just left pocket to right pocket back to left pocket to right pocket, front right pocket to front left pocket, left front pocket to left back pocket to left right pocket back to front right pocket, and on and on and on and on and on and go until you create a chart and a performance that is better than Bitcoin that you can now go market over and over and over again. When enough exchanges start to list it, that is when masses like you guys come in and say, wow, look at how amazing this movement is, and look at this bullshit language. Meanwhile, nothing is being really done by anything. These technologies are literally sold in a shell-like form that you just wrap this model around. The white papers are blueprinted. The developers come from a, what is it called? The developers come from a headhunting firm that specifically markets to shitcoin VCM pumpers and dumpers. We've got 12 developers who are willing to work for your brand new project here. The package will cost you this for these 12 developers. They're literally marketed out in packages. And all of this scheme is done to get enough interest so that the 70% that this operation maintained for itself they can take 5% and dump it for hundreds of millions. Then they wait. Another wave of articles, another wave of interest comes in. It's now not the volume of our own people, it's the volume of idiots like you guys. And we're the sellers to the idiots coming in. And we're the sellers of the idiots coming in. More idiots come in. Then I take it to the next phase. I start going out, and I have a sales staff that goes out, a marketing staff that goes out to the YouTubers. And we get the dirtiest, the dirtiest YouTubers that have zero scruples, that will take a payment and sell their mother. But they have to have a certain following. And we will give them a bunch of money to bring another round of idiots into this, so that now we're down from 70% to 50%. We need to get all the way down. Maybe another 10, 15% can be dumped by that. And we have to do this. We have to get rid of the majority of what we had before the next Bitcoin, before this Bitcoin cycle, because everything is dictated on Bitcoin. Before the Bitcoin top is in, we have to be down significantly from that 70% take. And we can keep an extra 10 or 15% to see if these idiots are dumb enough to build a community and make it last until the next cycle. And if enough of it lasts, we'll crank this bullshit machine up again for cycle number 2. And when you lift the curtain on this, this is over 90% of everything out there. Over 90% is that blueprint. It is literally played over and over again, tit for tat. And it's all camouflaged by really beautiful sounding words. The Ethereum Foundation. Yeah, that's like the freaking fucking Federal Reserve for Ethereum. You kidding me? You're that dumb? Controlling the supply, controlling the price through their market makers, dumping at will when they want to. That's the freaking Federal Reserve all over again. We're supposed to be gaining freedom from that. And so, despite the fact that I can make money from that bullshit scam, I can make money from that scam. But I'm not wired that way. I don't want to. I want to sleep at night. And all those things do now is serve as a distraction, and they're stealing the future from people who will never be able to use Bitcoin for the generational wealth opportunity it's here to deliver to every human being on earth today. The reason why these things have not been shut down, it's not that no one knows what's going on. This is not a secret. It's only a secret to the dummies on Twitter. It's only a secret for the dummies who believe this bullshit. It's not a secret to sophisticated people what's going on. People in the finance world know all of this is a scam. Do you understand? All of them. And the reason why it's not shut down is because it's being used to divert attention away from Bitcoin. It's used as a distraction. It's used as a tool against Bitcoin. So it's allowed to stay. They would rather you get raped by this criminal activity over here than gain freedom by Bitcoin. And they are going to dangle the gains in front of you. They're going to dangle the shiny lights in front of you to keep you as long as possible. Don't focus on Bitcoin. Don't focus on freedom. Bitcoin is outside of the system. This is inside of the system. You're going to flip this for more of our money. Bitcoin is outside of our money. Don't focus there. Focus on this shiny thing. Focus on this dog. Focus on this frog over here. Focus on this JPEG. Focus on this yields. Yield is a part of the bullshit slavery system. Focus on yields over here. Focused on Web3, focus on DeFi. All of these distractions are given fancy names to do nothing but take your eye off the ball. When I realized this, when this epiphany hit me, I was done. And I refuse to carry a single person under my name into that cesspool. I do not know how these people sleep at night. I am just not wired that way. I will not participate in that. I will not give that bullshit the privilege, the benefit of anything that I worked for. Nothing. The best thing I ever did was pile all of the millions we made on those shitcoins. I purified it by dumping it all into Bitcoin. And there you have it, guys. That, in large part, is why I won't trade them. I trade every single work day of my life. I trade for 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops. And every single day, I take a small portion of that gain to live off of, and I dump the rest into Bitcoin every single day. Except the days that I have losing days, but those are not very frequent. And that is what I do. I will trade the vast majority of things that move. I'll trade options. I'll trade stocks. I'll trade currencies. But I'm not trading them. I'm not giving them the satisfaction of receiving a single thing that I've earned or gained through my effort and my energy. They're all gonna go to zero. I've lived through this, people. I've lived through that same bullshit in 1999 and 2000, where bullshit companies that didn't even have an operation, they were dormant shells of a company that were just paying the $200, $250 a year just to keep them alive. They had no operation whatsoever. There was no employees. Do you understand? They had a P.O. box somewhere in freaking Idaho. And all they had to do in 1999, 2000 was refile for a name change. They would put a .com at the end of their existing name, put out a press release, and boom, their dormant penny stock that had almost zero volume would go from half a penny to $40. They made hundreds of millions of dollars just simply putting a .com on a shell company. A .com over here, pennies to dollars. A .com attached to the name over here, dollars to double-digit, triple-digit numbers. I saw companies come back from the dead with not a single employee, make hundreds of millions of dollars just by the stock going up because of stupid retail idiots that believed in the narrative that .com was going to change the world, no matter what you applied it to. Just like so-called blockchain technology, bullshit. Web3, bullshit. DeFi, bullshit. CeFi, bullshit. AI, bullshit. And I will tell you this. My respect for anyone out there peddling these things that are professionals, their stock drops for me. I can't help it. Their stock drops for me. I see some bright people supporting these things, and their stock drops. I see a big giant red bar. When I see them for the first time supporting or pumping an Ethereum or a Cardano or Solana, their stock drops for me. Now, that might not mean anything to them, and it shouldn't. But I'm just telling you, my respect drops big. They should know better. You should not want to be a part of someone's pump and dump. And just because a pump and dump scheme most pump and dumps are relatively quick, but just because a pump and dump takes longer than your average pump and dump doesn't stop it from being a pump and dump, doesn't stop it from being a Ponzi scheme. $60 plus thousand coins, guys. Think about this. 60 plus thousand. Not a single success. Do you hear me? Not a single success. Nothing is finished. There's not a single finished product. 60,000 plus. What else do you need to see? Oh, well, Oliver, Solana. When's the last person you've really seen using it? It's all fucking narrative. It's all pump and dump. It's not real. Oh, well, Oliver, no, that's not true. The Solana volume, bullshit. I told you where fake volume comes from. If you were to walk out of your home and ask anybody on your street, so how about that Solana? They're like, who is she? Is that a new neighbor? Bitcoin, yeah, they might not believe in it. Oh, yeah, internet money, but they've heard of it. It's all narrative. It's all bullshit. There is no use case, not a single one. Oh, I know the arguments that can come back to me on that, but the premise of those arguments are extraordinarily weak. They're solutions looking for a problem, trying to create a problem in the retailer's mind so that they buy it. Well, this solves this problem. That isn't a problem. Oh, well, wait a minute, Oliver. This blockchain is 3 times faster than Bitcoin's blockchain. That is not a fucking problem. So what are you telling me? I can buy my burger, 0.13 seconds faster? The fuck are you talking about? That doesn't mean anything to me. I can buy a hot dog faster than you can buy a hot dog faster than me by a half a second? Like, what are you talking about? Like, stop trying to convince me there's a problem here. There's no problem there. The world does not need, the world is not in need of buying a hot dog faster. Do you understand? The world is in need of a store of value that they can put their future in and it not be stolen from them, it not be debased on them. The entire world needs that. Every fiat currency in the world is collapsing. It is stealing from every human being on earth. Every single second you hold your country's money, you are getting poorer and poorer every single second of your life. The world needs that solved. Bitcoin solves that. Buying a hamburger faster? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you stupid? This is all BS, guys. It's all BS, and I'm going to have no part of it. And this is why I'm so harsh on it. I have very little tolerance at this particular point for it. You either get it or you don't, but you move on if you don't get it. I don't want you in my life. I don't. I don't want you in my life if you're that slow, if you're that dumb. I'm sorry. I can choose who's in my life. I want a quality life. And if your IQ is too low, I just don't want you in my life. There are people here who think it's wrong to block people on Twitter. Are you freaking kidding me? How stupid is that? How stupid is it to think that it's wrong to block somebody you don't want in your own house? So you're going to open the doors to your house and let any stranger walk in and do whatever they want to in your house? This is my house. And I run my house the way I run my house. And if I don't want you in here, you're gone. If you start talking bullshit about some scammy coin, you are gone. I want to have nothing to do with you. So I'm putting the word out to anyone who is listening to me right now. If you post one thing about a bullshit shitcoin altcoin, I swear to you, it'll be your last post in my house. I've got limited time here and I can't waste it on bullshit. I'm here to Bitcoin 100 and that's it. And you mean absolutely nothing except that it's a distraction to that cause. All right, that's an interesting history, young gentleman, on the Cornell students IPO 1998, the largest first day gain of any IPO. All nonsense. All right, guys, any questions here? I like that. DJ Satoshi, I like that image there. Stutter Swag says, what do you mean by you're out when Bitcoin hits 100? Oh yeah, let me please make, oh my goodness, let me qualify that. I am never going to be out of Bitcoin. I'm never selling Bitcoin, guys. I do understand I may be in a different financial situation than a lot of people. I'm not telling you to adopt this, but I just don't believe that freedom should be sold. I'm not selling. I believe that what is about to hit Bitcoin in the next 2 to 3 years, you'll be able to get anything on planet Earth you want without ever letting a single Satoshi go out of your possession. Banks will roll red carpets out with champagne bottles and crystal waiting for you to come in because you have the rarest asset on earth, the most valuable asset on earth, and the hardest money ever known to mankind. anyone who has Bitcoin in sufficient amounts will be able to get anything on planet Earth they want without ever letting it go. I believe that is upon us in the next 2 to 3 years. Just hold on. You will never have to sell, and you'll be able to get anything you want in life, a yacht, your mansion on the hill, your trip around the world, whatever it is. But the numbers of people that will have sufficient amounts will be so small, they will be so elite, they will be so special that they will be able to get it in amazing ways. Anything they want on planet Earth. Bitcoiners will rule. All right. ETF owners will have bells and whistles too. They'll be able to leverage their ETF shares. They'll be able to borrow against their ETF shares. But in my opinion, that is a lower class because that's just another financial product that has always existed. What has never existed is the true owner of the asset in sufficient amounts. There's a difference between a condo owner in a building and the person who owns the entire building, the entire complex, and the land underneath. Bitcoiners are the land underneath and the structure. ETFs are the little condos that are sold to individuals. They're not the real owners of the actual land. You see, the ETFs are a stake in the land, but they're not the land itself. The people who own the land will be the most special. ETFs are just another ETF. There's more ETFs than stocks, guys. Think about that. There's more ETFs than stocks. That's not special in the traditional financial world. Even the Bitcoin ETFs, it's not more special. It's just another ETF. But if you hold Bitcoin itself, that's special. That's rare. That's elite. The numbers of people in the world that will have one full Bitcoin are going to be so small. They're going to be the elite of the elite of the elite. I am never letting this go. So don't think when I say I'm gone at 100,000, I'm selling. That's silly. Even if I were a seller of Bitcoin, I would not be selling at 100,000. That's dumb. I'm saying I'm gone from Twitter. I've mentioned this many times. What I'm doing here is not sustainable, and I don't want it to be sustainable. I'm not interested in your likes. I'm not interested in your follows. I don't care what the number of followers is. I'm creating electronic footprints that can be referred to back here, years from now. Like we go back and read the old Bitcoin forums from 2010, 2011. You'll be reading my posts from 2033. Listening to these talks 10 years from now. That is my only purpose. And I'm out. 100,000, I'm out. And if you don't believe me, just watch. You'll see. My word is my bond. My word is my Bitcoin. Felipe S. says, I only want to thank you for teaching us about Bitcoin. I lost some money on sh-tcoins and I understood it later. But your Bitcoin trading club and wealth group changed my mindset. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Felipe. And I appreciate you being here as well. All right. A lot of my guys, they just won't come on here. They think that you guys are too low. I think they're very they're too aristocratic, I think. They're aristocrats now. They think they're too good for you guys there. And they're aristocrats. But some of you, like Felipe, who come, I appreciate that. YouTube scammers were the shitcoiners sales force. That's right. sleazy carnival barkers, infidels in the microscope world. You're so right, the young gentleman. And it hurts me to see talented, such bright people fall into that. Some of which I have respect for, but in one way, but disrespect in another way, just because you're seriously you're distracting people away from the greatest. This comes once in 1,000 years, an opportunity like this, and you've got them freaking focus on what? Really? Bitcoin is about to outprice. Bitcoin has already outpriced 90% of the world. 90% of all human beings can't ever even dream of having one Bitcoin at $66,000 a coin. 90 plus percent of the world. In the next year, 95% of the world won't be able to buy a Bitcoin. And in 1 year after that, 99% of the entire world will never be able to have one Bitcoin. And the time is so tight, the time is so limited, and you're focused on a dog coin? You're focused on something that says it can buy you a burger 2 seconds faster? Really? Like it it bothers me so deeply. And because of our clown world society, these shitcoin focusers, they always get the biggest audiences, so they always do the biggest damage. As the young gentleman calls them, the carnival barkers, they attract the biggest crowds. Always. It is a story as old as time. Felipe was there when we did Dogecoin. That's right. All right, guys. Anything else? Let's see here. Anything else? Any other questions? Let's see. Yeah, first Juan has a question. Oliver, I have a question regarding USDT and how predictable a BTC crash can be if the government discovers that the stablecoin is not pegged 1-to-1 to the dollar. How can I address this question when debating with fiat economists, which often I come across with? I have struggled a bit. Thanks. So I think the question is, uh, first one, he has some friends he's probably talking to, and just as an excuse to not do anything with Bitcoin, they have heard from a third party or some source that USDT pumps Bitcoin. This is stupid. This is dumb. First of all, USDT is nothing more than an electronic US dollar. I see it no differently from fiat. I do see it, though, as a marginal improvement on the actual US dollar. And that is because the US dollar is largely scarce. That's a part of its value, that it's not available all over the world. And in major pockets, it's almost impossible to get it. And if you do get it, you're paying an extraordinarily high premium to get it. And so UDST does have a positive effect on a lot of people's lives by giving them access to not Bitcoin necessarily, but something else that is like a Bitcoin compared to their shitcoin. So the US dollar is like Bitcoin to someone in Turkey or someone in Argentina or someone in Venezuela. Now, Bitcoin is better than the dollar, but the dollar is better than their shitcoin. So the dollar sits between Bitcoin and their worst shitcoin, their worst fiat currency. And so I get the attraction to the dollar because the dollar is truly globally accepted. And the USDT, whether you like them or not, has a value proposition for making the dollar more accessible to the people that the elite doesn't even want the US dollar to be accessible to. And in that regard, there is a value there. But I do regard that as a temporary value, a temporary value. Let me give you an idea of what I mean by, in my opinion, USDT is a temporary value. When the iPhones first came out, I don't know if many of you remember this. There used to be these shops, right, that would replace your screen if you cracked the iPhone screen. I had a friend who made millions of dollars. He had 11 of these shops in Queens, New York, and in the Bronx, New York. He had 11 between Queens, Bronx, and some in Brooklyn. And they specialize in just replacing people's iPhone screens if they crack them. He doesn't have that business anymore. You know why? Because when you crack your screen, Apple now has insurance and you replace the screen for like 25 bucks. Out of business. It was a huge value. I even used his service. I cracked screens all the time with my iPhones in the early days. And I used his service. It was far better than me buying a brand new one. And it served a value, but it was temporary. And while those companies still might exist, they're nothing like they used to be before Apple got into the insurance and screen fixing business itself. 25 bucks, 45 bucks, you're in and out, done. And that's what USDT is. It's a temporary screen fixer. And its value proposition is not long term. Well, how can it be? It's just an electronic version of a piece of shit, which all fiat currencies are anyway. Now, if you're telling me the only thing that I believe that people who I believe that people who bring this up have no interest in being convinced about Bitcoin anyway. So I believe you're wasting your time. But guys, I did a lot of business with a company, a major company on Wall Street called Cantor Fitzgerald. Now, I'll give you a quick story about Cantor Fitzgerald and my relationship with them, right? So Cantor Fitzgerald is one of the largest bond-oriented companies in the entire world. Their name and respect is extraordinarily high. And they had offices on the top floor of the Twin Towers. You know where this is going. Several weeks before the Twin Towers hit, I had a meeting in the Cantor Fitzgerald's offices. They wanted me and my organization to help build. And remember, I told you I was in the electronic trading, direct access trading technology part of the business. They wanted to see if it were possible to bring the same direct access technology to eliminate the middleman in the bond industry and commercial paper and stuff like that. And we had a meeting several weeks before. I was supposed to come back with a follow-up on the day after the Twin Towers got hit. How crazy is that? It wasn't the day of, it was the day after. It was a Tuesday, I remember. The 12th. September 12th, 2001. And I tell you this story to let you know I am familiar with the firm. It's not that firms can't lie or whatever, but you don't understand. What most people don't understand about my business is that it is the most regulated industry in the entire world. If Cantor Fitzgerald goes out in public on the biggest financial networks in the world, financial networks, CNBC, and things of that nature, and publicly states that we hold the bonds, the backup, the treasuries, we hold them for USDT, and we can verify that they are backed 1-to-1. I am telling you, they would set themselves up for taking out one of the most successful firms ever in that space. They're not going to do it for Tether. They're not going to take that risk for Tether. They're not going to put themselves in the position for a cryptocurrency to take out their legacy, guys. I'm telling you, if Cantor Fitzgerald has gone out in public to say we hold the backing, they hold the backing. Do you know how many people would want to prove that wrong? Do you know how many people instantly went out scurrying to verify that with the hope that they could take a Cantor Fitzgerald down? They wouldn't put themselves at that risk first one, not for a cryptocurrency. To eliminate decades and decades of being the kings of their industry, they're not going to do it. But they stated it in public, and it's in their filings. They hold the backing. So I wouldn't worry too much about USDT being a pumper of Bitcoin or even collapsing at this particular point. I wouldn't worry about it. All right, what else here? All right. Oh, this is a good question from Eclap. Will Bitcoiners be vilified? Of course. No, we're already being vilified, no? This will only increase. This will only increase. And ETF holders will not, but they're not Bitcoin holders. They're traditional financial product holders. That's different. Individual Bitcoin holders will be vilified for a period of time. And I am encouraging all decent holders of Bitcoin to just be open to just leaving. Just leaving. I want you, if it were up to me, you all would prepare your lives for just leaving. And I'm not talking about permanently, like I'm going to spend 4 months here. There will be a point where you'll be able to do that because of your Bitcoin holdings. You'll be able to pick anywhere in the world to spend 2 months here, 4 months there. You can chase the sun. You don't like cold? Chase the sun. That's what I do. Chase the sun. All right, the sun is best in this part of the world now. I'm there. It is easier today to be a to make the world your playground than it ever was in history. And now that you have Bitcoin, where your wealth is with you at all times, even when you sleep, prepare yourselves for this, because when one vilifies, another place will welcome you with open arms. When this place vilifies you, another place will adorn you with gifts. That's the game theory that Bitcoin is built off of. This place wants to tax your use of Bitcoin there. Another place says, come here, there's no taxes. Another place will say, not only is there no taxes, we will pay you to come here. So start now. Start preparing your life where you can just unplug for 2 months or 3 months or 6 months and go live in Spain, or come down here to Colombia for 2 months, or go down to Mexico, or go to Portugal, Madeira, or go to Thailand, the south of France. A little expensive, but you know what I'm saying? Like, start thinking about that. Because with Bitcoin, you are a citizen of the world. It's global in nature, and you're never leaving it behind. Many of the wealthy during the 1920s in Germany knew the country was going to collapse, but they couldn't leave because their wealth was there. They had a factory that made shoes that was in their family for 3 generations. And this was what supported their life. How do they leave that? This person had a farm of cows in the family from generation to generation, serviced half of the country. It's where their wealth and their standing came from. But how could they leave this collapsing country and a collapsing currency? They couldn't. They couldn't take their wealth with them. So they had to sit there and watch it disappear. This will never be you as a Bitcoiner. Your wealth will never disappear. Never. Your wealth is guaranteed mathematically to be more than it was every 4 years of your life forever. You can never be separated from your value, from your wealth, from your future when it's in Bitcoin. Wherever you go, there it is. Whether you're asleep or whether you're wide awake, there it is. It will never abandon you, never leave you, never break a promise, never have a hiccup, never be susceptible to a hack, never be stolen, never be confiscated, unless it's an error by you. We can place our total faith, our total future. We can place the lives of our family here, because it's the only thing that we can point to that's never failed us. Carlos says 100,000 by April, so you're leaving Twitter soon, or what? 100,000 whenever it happens. Guys, we could wake up. Guys, you know what could happen? We could wake up in the morning to Bitcoin 110,000, because some sovereign wealth fund in the Middle East just bought $100 billion in Bitcoin or whatever. I mean, this is not only is this not out of the question. You understand? Not only is it not out of the question, it's actually probable. That's right. I would not be surprised that at some point this year, we're going to hear about some major nation, powerful, just buy a truckload of this or announce that it did. And you'll understand, oh my God, this is why the price is here. Or, oh my God, this is why in 1 month we went up 200 points overnight. I am telling you, this is not out of the question, and it is not moon boy talk. When you have a limited, finite supply with no circuit breaker, no stopping, you can have these things. The reason why you've never seen them is because all markets before Bitcoin are man-controlled. They don't allow it. They have something called limit up. So they prevent it from going too crazy, and they stop all trading. You can't stop all trading in Bitcoin. Otherwise, we would have seen it. If you can see a single stock go up from $2 to $200 in a day, I've seen it in 1999, the dot-com craze, $2 to $200 in a day. If we can see that in a stock, you can see Bitcoin go from 100 to 400,000 in a day. And those stocks aren't even limited in supply. All right. Next countries to adopt Bitcoin. When you say adopt, I don't know what you mean, but if you mean buying, I think a healthy chunk of countries are already buying Bitcoin. And more are mining Bitcoin. The mining route is important for sovereign nations because they don't have to reveal their purchasing. So, you don't see Oman putting together a $500 million mining operation in collaboration with Mara for nothing. So, and it's in 2 years, almost all of them. In 2 to 3 years, almost every country is going to be mining Bitcoin. In 2 to 3 years, every energy company, every oil company is going to be mining Bitcoin. And by 2035, every human being will be mining Bitcoin. Not to make a lot of it, but to offset your energy costs. It's going to be built into every electronic, your heaters, your air conditioners, your cars, your electronic cars, anything that uses electricity will contribute to the Bitcoin network. Why? Why not? Why not have it do that? And everyone will want to because that's where your life is. That's where your future is. Why not support it? Why not have the network offset a little of your energy costs? Or in some cases, offset it all. Which exchanges do I prefer to buy? I buy Bitcoin. I post one of them that I buy directly from right here all the time, right? Unchained Capital, I use their OTC desk. I do use Swan Bitcoin. I've used Swan Bitcoin actually longer than I've used Unchained Capital. I like River. I like to support the Bitcoin only operations, guys. I like River. If from a big giant exchange point of view, Coinbase and Kraken are okay, but not to keep your Bitcoin there. Are they ideal? No, because they're shitcoiners and they do a major sin of distracting. Like, guys, just because I still have a Coinbase account, I see more alerts for bullshit. I can't remember the last time I saw an alert for Bitcoin. Well, I did recently because it was up so big, but I see more alerts for bullshit, distractions away from Bitcoin than pulling your attention to Bitcoin. I think that's a crime, and it's on purpose. But the two exchanges I'm the most comfortable with are Coinbase and Kraken, in that order. Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's it. Guys, listen, I appreciate you all for coming in. I don't even know how many people I have here, but let's see. Let me quickly take a look here. If I can get an idea here. All right, cool. All right, people. Listen, I vowed 30 plus years ago that every single time I was given the privilege of speaking into a mic, from a podium, on stage, off stage, online, offline, I would do my best. I would do everything in my power to deliver something of value, something that perhaps you might even be able to utilize or regard as valuable for the rest of your life. I hope I've done that here tonight. If I haven't, if I failed in that, in some way in that regard, I promise you, every single time I do this, I'll get better and better. That I can promise you. My name is Oliver Velez, and I am your 13%er Bitcoiner. Be safe out there, and until next time. Boom!